like this is like summer. This is like summer for me. But for people in Miami, this is like their winter for the next 2 days. When it drops below 60, it's winter here, which is what it is
Yeah.
right now. Anyways, I come from the music industry. I call myself a recovering music executive. Got into technology around 8 years ago. Music technology vertical. Discovered blockchain technology around 2015, 2016. Really dove into what blockchain can do for society to fix issues around the world. I guess again, tail end of 2016, early 2017. Did Released a music related rewards based token. So I'm one of the pioneers in like the music blockchain space. Developed award winning applications. Won TechCrunch Disrupt. Raised money from some top venture capitalists, Lightspeed Venture Partners being the biggest, based in San Francisco. Which, even though they take equity positions in companies, Lightspeed was actually one of the original venture capitalists from one of the biggest venture capitalists that were actually on the Hill in Congress lobbying for crypto related um, initiatives, rules, laws, etc. Back in I think like 2013 or 2014. If you watch the Bitcoin documentary on Netflix, you'll see that Lightspeed was one of the companies that was before Congress, them, Andreessen Horowitz, and a couple others. Um, Fast forward, obviously, COVID happened a couple years ago. Side note, so I've been a licensed real estate agent in Miami for about 14 years, which is about when I moved down here from New York City. Wasn't really active in the real estate space. Used it for family and friends. Personally, and I don't say this to many people, but I guess I will now. Unfortunately, I was caught in like the housing bust in 2007 to through 2009 during the last housing crisis that we had. I was making a decent amount of money for my age at the time. I bought a pretty expensive house, and because I was making the most amount of money I ever have, and then back then, and then what happened? Like 9 months after I bought this expensive house, the entire market crashed, and I didn't have my real estate license at the time. And what I realized was the realtors, a lot of realtors, I don't necessarily know if this is a Miami thing, but a lot of realtors in Miami don't necessarily, at least at that time, had their clients' best interest at heart. It was all about closing deals and making money, and I was living on the beach at the time in South Beach, and I hired a real estate agent from South Beach to help me find my home. And I bought my home about 30 minutes away from South Beach. What I didn't know at the time was the agent that I hired never left South Beach. So he had no idea what was 30 minutes north. He had no idea about the market. Obviously, at that time, everyone was buying property and it was going up. So it was like, if you bought anything, you were going to make money at that time. At least that's what I thought. And the agent that I had at the time gave me a comp analysis of properties that recently sold, but it wasn't in the development that I was buying in. It was slightly outside of my development, which was about a $200,000 or $300,000 price difference. And me, as a young man making a lot of money, I was extremely busy. I didn't really realize that the comps that he was giving me were not accurate for the property that I was putting an offer in. Bought the property. 9 months later, everything that was happening like this went back down, and I had to unfortunately short sell my house, and I had to sell the house for literally half of what I bought it for. And I tried to buy it from the bank at the time, with a 50% price reduction. The bank was like, "No, we're not going to let you do this," but they sold it to some other guy. So they wouldn't let me buy it at a 50% price reduction, but they let the next person buy it. So it wasn't a really, quite frankly, I could have probably afforded to stay in the house, but it just, with the price going down 50%, it just didn't make a lot of sense. And I realized at that time that I wanted to be an agent for my own investments. I wanted to be responsible for my own money, but more importantly, I wanted to make sure that if I ever helped out family or friends or clients, that I never provided them with that same level of service that I received back then. I never want to be an opportunist or be in it for myself. I want to always super serve my clients. That's the New York mentality. I always want to super serve my clients, and then hopefully I make a little bit of money as a result of providing this great service. In other words, I put my clients' interest ahead of my own interest. Fast forward, COVID changed a lot of things. Um, a lot of new dynamics are changing. I wasn't able to show property, and I wasn't really showing that much property because I was still very active in my entrepreneurial ventures in blockchain. And then what I noticed was, because Mayor Suarez, who's done a fantastic job down here in Miami, because he had a lot of pro He has obviously a pro crypto stance, a very positive outlook on crypto. He was making statements publicly a couple years ago. He was pro technology. And what I started to notice was my friends from New York, from the tech space, was starting to move here permanently. Friends from San Francisco and LA were starting to move to Miami very rapidly. And the majority of these individuals that were moving here from New York, San Fran, and LA were primarily coming from the crypto space. So I scratched my head and I was like, well, how many realtors out there really understand crypto like me, like really know it? And of course, what happened, during COVID, I wasn't able to show property, wasn't able to leave the house like many of us. No realtors were able to leave. I started getting calls from my crypto friends like, "Hey, Erik, I heard you were a realtor. Can you help me out with this?" And they were all coming to me with like, everyone in crypto is fucked up, right? It's like they were all coming to me with like these crazy, like, "Erik, I haven't paid my taxes in 27 years." I was like, "Oh God." Another client was like, and this is really what kind of set it off to me. And we have a mutual friend, Jeff, and he came to me. He was like, "Erik, I'm worth XYZ tens of millions of dollars in crypto, but I tried to get a loan from the bank and they wouldn't loan it to me because I don't have a job. I have no income." And I was like, "So let me get this straight. You're worth XYZ amount, tens of millions in crypto, and the bank won't lend you, but one of my friends who doesn't have a job can go get a $400,000 car loan to go buy a car." So that doesn't make sense. So I said, let me call some of these banks and just try to see if I can figure out why they wouldn't lend you. This individual didn't need the loan. He could have easily just sold Bitcoin and or a fraction of his holdings and bought the property that he wanted, that he was looking for. But rates were so cheap and still are so cheap that it makes sense to borrow money rather than sell your crypto. So so basically I sat down with some banks and started to talk to them about crypto. And I said, "Listen, I have two clients," because at that point I had another client who was in the similar position. I said, "They're worth XYZ, at this, they're between the two of them is probably $50 million, $70 million, something like that." All right. I'm not going to get into their specifics, but I was like, I have two clients that their net worth is like in crypto is like 50 or 70 million, but they show like zero in their bank account. They don't have a job. They're making money off they're making interest off of their crypto, but that doesn't really count as income. Would you give these guys a mortgage?" And they were like, "Well, come talk to us about what blockchain is and what Bitcoin is." And I had to really have conversations with several banks, like about like dumb it down to them, explain to them about the technology. No, these guys are not like drug lords. Like the old school mentality. Like, these guys are not drug lords. That's not where this money came from. These are U.S. citizens. They're just technologists. They got lucky. They bought Bitcoin when it was very cheap. They were sitting on it. Now they have all this Bitcoin, and rather than just hoard this Bitcoin and live in their mom's basement, they want to buy property. So why are we stopping them from buying property? And one of the banks was this is kind of like my niche and my like service differentiator, is that one of the banks was willing to fund my clients a 75% loan to value mortgage. So I don't know if you have any questions, but I can keep rambling on about the whole process if you want.
Yeah, so for those that don't understand how that works, the LTV, can you explain a little bit about that and how they got approved for, or how that process went?
Yeah, sure. So, on a $1 million property with a conventional mortgage, you can literally put 3% down or 5% down, and you can get a loan for the remaining 95% or 95% loan to value. So on a $1 million property, you can technically get a loan today for 900 and let's say $50,000, right? All you have to do is put down $50,000 and the bank would loan you 950 if you have a stable income, if you could prove that you can afford the mortgage, basically make 3 months and in your salary or your monthly salary needs to be like, let's say 3 times your monthly mortgage payments. If you have good credit, you can get a 3% interest rate. So it's, if for those clients that are in that situation, that's traditionally where people go. What this bank does is they do a 75% loan to value. So it's not 95. So on a $1 million property, they will lend up to 75% of the value or price of the appraisal value of the property, right? Because if you're buying $1 million property, but it's only worth, the appraisal comes back at 800 grand, they're going to lend you 75% against 800 grand. They're not going to lend you 75% against $1 million. You got to come up with that difference. So let's just say that a client wants to buy $1 million property. Let's say it appraises at $1 million. Great. Everyone's price is great. It's accurate. The bank will do a loan to value. It's called a no doc loan, so no documentation loan at a 75% loan to value, meaning the bank will loan my crypto clients up to $750,000. There's a few caveats. They do 65% loan to value, 70% loan to value, 75% loan to value. So how do they determine what loan to value they're going to give you? It's your credit score. It's the only thing they look at. So a 680 credit, and this changes, by the way, daily. So it could change by tomorrow. But a 65% loan to value, meaning $650,000 loan against $1 million property, 680 credit score. A 700 credit score gives you a 70% loan to value, so they'll lend you $700,000 against $1 million property. If your credit score is 720 or better, that's the sweet spot. 720 or better, they will lend 75% loan to value on that property, 750 grand. What does this specific bank look at? Your credit score. That's it. They don't care if you have a job. They kind of care if you paid your taxes. They at least want to see a tax return to pull your tax number. What you do with it is kind of up to you. Don't care if you have a job. Don't care if you have income. Why? Why does the bank not care? Because they're asking you to put down the 25% equity into the property. They're only lending you 75%. So you, as the buyer, have to come up with the remaining 25%, which is an amazing hedge for the bank. Banks don't want to lose money. Go figure. Who does? Nobody does. So, so this bank says, all right, Erik, if you want this $1 million property, you're risky because you have no job, you have no income. The interest that you make from your crypto isn't considered income, but you're worth 20 million. I'm not, but you're worth 20 million in crypto. So we feel a little safe with making this loan, but it's still the riskiest loan. So our interest rate is going to be 5.5%. Now, a conventional customer today jumps back when they hear 5.5%. 5.5%, it's 3%. Why the hell am I paying 5.5%? Well, because it's a risky loan, because you don't have to have a job. So the banks hedge their bet with the rate, meaning they give you a higher interest rate than today. It's the highest interest rate actually today, 5.5%. And I have to put 25%. So if the bank has to foreclose, if I don't pay the note, it's very easy for them to foreclose in this market that's been skyrocketing, by the way, and we can get into that, quite frankly, across the world, let alone in Miami. Across America, Miami, and across the world, real estate, single-family homes have been going up like crazy. The bank knows that they have to foreclose on me if we have a 2007, 2008 crisis again, that there's 25% equity into the property, which is definitely enough of a hedge or a cushion for them. So if they lose 5% in the deal, they're still up 20% that I paid into it. Or if they lose 10% in the deal, they're still up 15% because I paid into it. So for the bank, although they say it's risky, it's really, really hedged for them. High interest rate. So if I pay my note, they're getting basically double what today's interest would normally charge me. If I had a job, which I do, by the way, that's a whole other issue. And the 25% hedge equity in the property. So why do my clients do this? Why do people who are in the room may fall into this bucket? Well, there's really two reasons. Just like my clients, the reason that my clients don't want to sell Bitcoin is because as soon as you sell Bitcoin, or as soon as I transfer Bitcoin to any of you listening to me right now, that is a capital gains event, assuming that the Bitcoin has gone up since when I bought it, right? If I bought Bitcoin a month ago and I transferred it to you today, it's not a capital gain because Bitcoin's gone down 50%, right? But assuming that if I bought it when most of my clients bought it a long time ago and have made significant earnings, it's a capital gain, 20% approximately. I'm not a CPA, but check with your CPA, but approximately 20%. So that $1 million property is not costing my client $1 million. It's actually if they use Bitcoin, it's actually costing them $1.2 million. So they're down 200 grand. So they don't want to do that. And what's the other reason? Well, I'll speak for myself, and I'm assuming most of you feel the same way, especially now. Bitcoin will probably double between now and the end of the year. I know it's hard to swallow now with what's going on in the market, but I believed it was going to double. I believe that it would double this year, last year, and I still believe that this year it's going to double in value. So why would you give up the appreciation, the potential appreciation of that first asset to buy another asset like property, which will probably appreciate, but not 50%? It's not going, the house that you buy today will not double in 9 months or a year. I mean, if that happens, half the country will be homeless. So I highly doubt that that's going to happen. Will property appreciate? Historically, it does, except of course when I buy it. But will property appreciate? Yeah, probably. Is it going to appreciate at the rate as Bitcoin? Probably not. And 95% of the people in the world will probably agree with me who are knowledgeable about Bitcoin and the real estate market, which I am. So they don't do it. They don't want to pay capital gains tax, and they want to make sure that they can still recognize the appreciation of Bitcoin. Of course, the reverse can happen. They can borrow against crypto. They can leverage it. It can go down like it has now. They can liquidate their positions. They can lose all of their crypto. Bitcoin can go down. Property can go down. Like the worst situation can happen. But the odds of that happening are less likely than the previous hypothetical situation that I gave. And that's essentially what it is. Now, for the 25% down payment on the property that my customers have to come up with, again, they could do one of three things. They can either A, sell their Bitcoin and get 250 grand. That's fine. But of course, again, capital gains tax, sell your Bitcoin, miss out on appreciation. B, you can have cash in your bank account and do it. Most of my clients don't hold cash. And if they did, it's so cheap for them to borrow that they probably wouldn't. Or three, which is usually what my clients do, is they leverage their crypto. With the bank is a traditional 30-year mortgage at 5.5%. They don't custody your crypto. They don't collateralize your crypto. They don't hold your crypto at all. When you collateralize your crypto, meaning when you give it to a crypto lending platform like a Celsius, SmartFi, BlockFi, Nexo, etc., Helio Lending, they do collateralize it, which means they will hold your crypto at a 50% loan to value. So if you need to borrow $250,000 from them, which you can get in 24 hours, by the way, wired into your bank account, you have to give them double the collateral. So you have to give them $500,000 in Bitcoin or Ethereum or stablecoin. They will wire the remaining 50% into your bank account. So if you take a loan out for 75% and then you take the crypto collateralized loan out, you've taken two loans. When you borrow against your money, you pay no tax. You pay no capital gains tax. It's what the rich do, right? Donald Trump is an example. It's a crazy example, but why is Donald Trump's tax so low? Because he borrows against his assets to buy other assets. That's exactly what my strategy is, except the asset that we're borrowing against is our own crypto, right? So we're able to leverage one asset to buy another asset. Both assets, of course, we hope will appreciate. All of my customers that have done this have been very happy. I have Jeff, a mutual friend, as you're aware, used this strategy. His Bitcoin's gone up double in value since he bought his property. Maybe down a little bit now, but for the most part, his crypto, up until about a month ago, his crypto was double in value from what he had at the time, and his property has gone up probably $500,000 since he bought the property. So, do you think he's happy with me as a real estate agent? Do you think all of my other clients are happy with me? The answer is yes, because they're leveraging one asset to buy another asset, and that's essentially my strategy.
What's the name of the bank that does the loan?
Well, question was the name of the bank. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I heard that. That's the one thing I don't give up. I don't give up. That's like my secret sauce. If I gave that out, I cannibalize my business. So the bank that again, it's taken me like years to develop this relationship. So the bank is not, if you have a client or if you're interested, I would obviously bring you through my system and introduce you to my broker for the process. But I don't just freely give away the banking name.
Is he a mortgage broker?
You're not a mortgage broker, are you?
No, I'm not. But my broker, my real estate broker is a licensed mortgage broker as well. So I use him for all of my. He's my broker that does all my mortgages.
And can you explain or use actual case? You don't have to reveal the names, but I just try to have better understanding of how we approach this. Because number one, right, as a lender, all right, they're gonna look at it. Let's common sense here, okay? They're gonna look at the value of the collateral, which is the cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, right? Right.
Let me stop. Hold on. Let me stop you right there. The lender on the mortgage side doesn't collateralize the crypto. They don't care what the crypto swings at. So
the collateral is just the property you're buying.
That's right.
And
Just
then
like
they're willing to, they're not gonna, I'm an investor, okay? I'm a commercial real estate investor. I'm doing the second generation. So I'm trying to have better understanding here. So they're not gonna look at, they're gonna look at 75%, the loan to value, right? You told me that, right? And they're not gonna look at DTI, right? Right? That's income ratio.
No.
Yeah, they're not gonna, see, okay, right there, it's a flag, because why would the lender would give them money now? The property value stays stable, that makes some sense, okay? But like 2008, like you say, you experienced, we all experienced, property value goes downhill. That 75% value that you think, I mean, as a lender, is probably 50%. I will lose money. So why would I lend money to somebody without any collateral and knowing that this guy got no income? DTI does not make sense. I'm not criticizing here. I really like I'm just gonna play a devil here, so we can all we all sitting here in the morning have a better understanding of the picture. So could you share with us the actual case where, okay, here's a average say Joe, all right? He's got a net worth of say $10 million of crypto in Bitcoin, and then this property value was $1 million. But he actually used he only put down $250,000 and he got a loan. Is that really true? Can you have a case like that? Could you explain this to us a little more detail? So I'm trying to make sense out of it. I'm trying to wrap around my understanding of this in real case, reality. So
yes, yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you a real case study, and then I'll also let me address your points, by the way, because they're great points. And by the way, this is exactly the conversation that I had with the banks. This is why there's like one bank there's a few banks, but there's really one bank that I deal with that actually deals with this because of the same concerns that you just addressed. Number one, this solution probably will not be here or would not be here if the real estate market wasn't on a fucking tear right now. Right? If we were in down markets and real estate was losing value, this probably would not be an option. So the reason that the option is here right now, as far as I could see from a lending or banking standpoint, is because real estate prices have gone up tremendously. If the market starts to pull back a little bit, this buying option or this bank that lends to my people without a job or without an income, they may go bye-bye. The truth is, I said a key word, which I'm sure you picked up on, which is a no doc loan. There are plenty of banks out there that do no documentation loans. In fact, they were around in 2007, 2008. It's partially the reason that the housing crisis happened, because they were just lending without documentation. Like I could say I made $1 million, and they're like, all right, fine, we'll give you $800,000 loan. It was nuts. A lot of those same practices have come back. Why? Because the real estate market's gone gangbusters. Why? Because the government's giving money to everyone, and everyone has all this money to go spend. Right? That's my own side opinion. But addressing what you just said, and I kind of touched on it. The bank, and there was maybe one or two details I left out. When the bank is looking to give you the loan, right? 75% loan to value, they want to know that you have that 25% in your bank account, meaning you've collateralized your crypto, you've taken a loan against your crypto, the money goes into your bank. In addition to seeing the 250 in your bank account, meaning that they know that you have the down payment, they want to see that you have, depending on the loan value size, $1 million or more, it's usually 12 months, $1 million or less, it's 6 months. They also want to see that you have 6 to 12 months of mortgage reserves in your bank account. I'm sorry, in crypto, meaning if your payments are $5,000 a month in mortgage, they want to see that you have the 250 down payment and that you have, let's say, 30,000 to 60,000 of reserves in mortgage payment in crypto, in Bitcoin. Where do they want to see the Bitcoin or the Ethereum or the stable coin? Those are really the only coins they look at. They want to see it on Coinbase, on Celsius, on Kraken, on Binance US, and they really love Gemini. They love Gemini and they love Coinbase. They don't want to see a fucking screenshot of your Ledger wallet. That's not going to fly for them because they know that you custody. Now, once you get approved for the loan and move into the house, you could take that crypto and shove it and put it wherever you want. Obviously, I recommend cold storage. So you take it off those exchanges or lending platforms and put it back into your wallet. But the banks want to know that while they're lending it to you, that you don't have custody of it. You can't go crazy with it. I know this seems like a crazy idea, but like I said, you mentioned 15% swing in home value. It's not really the banks aren't concerned about. Well, they're a little bit concerned about the home value. They just want to make sure that you can make your mortgage payments. And they feel like if they're lending to somebody who's worth 20 or 30, which I'll get into, 20 or 30 million in crypto, that this person is not going to default, no matter what their house value is, that this person is not going to default on their mortgage payments. And they have that 25% cushion to protect them. So if this person starts to default, they still have 25% into the property. Property drops down 15% in value, 15% in value. Person stops paying their mortgage. It obviously gets risky. They're going to default. But that's why I said this is a high risk mortgage. That's why they're charging 5.5% of an interest rate. So no loan is 100% secure, right? I mean, there's no.
Based on my experience, honestly, 5.5 really cheap with that risk. No, seriously, people will charge. I've seen bank charges almost 20% with that kind of risky loan. A lot of banks don't want to do it, but some, not a lot of, actually, when you say banks, normal banks are under tight, federal regulations, so they cannot play game like that. So a lot of times, like you said, it's some kind of mortgage company. It's not an actual bank regulated by federal, regulations. So, but there I've seen, but they charge. I've seen, when the rate was high, like before 2008. I mean, I saw what happened in 2008. So before I've seen bank charge almost 18%, and then people will go for it because they believe that their risk value will go up, and which I believe too. But when the market crashes, like in 6 months, I've seen, again, I just want to share this, what I've seen in before 2008 and with the market crash. And so I think what we're talking about here is that we are going to ride a wave, kind of like before 2008. We've seen this, but I think it's a good opportunity. I really like the idea of basically hedging using your own, the crypto value that you have under your belt. So I really like the idea, but I think that if I have some, because of all of us here in the morning, try to learn something. So maybe you have some actual example. That's why I asked about actual example of the case where you don't have to reveal the name or bank's name, anything like that. But this is how what actual case say 6 months ago. Then okay, well we'll probably I'm interested in doing business with you seriously. Because again, having my crypto investment and then get a reasonable like 5% and 6%. Oh no, it's no brainer. It's really cheap, really cheap interest.
Yeah,
So,
the rates went up, didn't they, for not non-conventional?
Yeah, well, the rates again, but this is a non-QM loan, so yes, the rates
Yeah.
went for conventional loans. The rates have gone up, and quite frankly, maybe for the product I'm talking about, it's gone up a little bit. But 5.5% is pretty top of the nut. It's pretty top.
Does this work for refi too? So can somebody refi using them?
Yeah, I haven't. Again, if they're refining, they're literally refining against the asset, which is the property at that point. So they're not really. I don't know where the crypto comes into play on the refi aspect. At that point, they're just refinancing the asset which you own, right?
Right, exactly.
Which would be property, commercial
Well,
or residential.
Yeah, there was just somebody that was trying to refinance a $1 million property, but their credit score dropped a little bit, and so they won't get approved for a conventional loan. So they have crypto assets, right? So they were asking me if that was even possible.
Yeah, I would say probably not. My strategy is literally for buying property. And as the gentleman was just saying, he does commercial property. This works for commercial property too. But as the gentleman knows also, for commercial property, the banks just use the income from the property, right? They don't really need to look at. They just need to look at how much income is this property going to produce, and they can loan against that. They can loan against what the commercial property is renting for, or what future rents of that property are going to be once you buy it, fix it up, and rent it out. So they don't even need to look, commercial. They don't even need to really look at crypto stuff. This is all new to traditional banking. And by the way, the bank that I'm speaking about is an FDIC regulated bank. They are a direct lender. And again, it's why it's difficult to find this bank, which is why I just don't give it up. Yeah, I don't know where the heck I was going with. Oh,
Yeah.
This whole crypto lending sector, like the Celsius, the SmartFi, and the BlockFi. I mean, everyone in the room who's aware knows that this has only been around for 3 or 4 years. So, like 99.9% of realtors don't even know that they can borrow or that their clients can borrow against their crypto. There's even a lot of people that own crypto that don't know that they can borrow against their crypto. And certainly the traditional banking sector, mortgage sector, they're just finding about these companies because I talk around the world about it or talk around America about it. And I do speeches and talks about it. They're like, what the hell is Celsius? I was talking to the CEO of one of the biggest developers in Miami. They're like, what's Celsius? What's BlockFi? Come talk to my agents about this. No one has any idea. So this is all a new concept, right? And by the way, to the gentleman, what's also interesting is the bank doesn't even care where the down payment money comes from. Because the under meaning the 200,000
Doesn't need to be sourced like normal.
No, it doesn't. Well, so yeah, so the sourcing is important. As long as that down payment is in your account 30, a month in advance, they don't care where it sources from. Unfortunately, most of my clients are Bitcoin lunatics, and they want to wait until the last possible second to take the loan out against their crypto because I think Bitcoin is going to shoot up and they don't want to do that. And then what happens is when you take that collateralized loan out, let's say 24, 48 or 72 hours before closing or whatever, now you have to source the funds. I have people in crypto. This is a real life example. One of my clients was getting like transfers from Cash App from like 20 different people and businesses and Bitcoin from this and this 20, imagine having to source funds from like 20 different wire transfers from like Cash App and Coinbase and the crazy exchanges overseas. And the underwriter was like, Jesus Christ, like you couldn't make this easier on us. Like they needed like 25 gift letters. And my friend gifted me this Bitcoin and where this Bitcoin came because it looks suspicious. Like you have 30 different transactions from crypto coming into your account. You're a business. You're saying that these are vendors that are paying you. What kind of business are you in that you need like 30 micro Bitcoin transactions? So that was a disaster. I had to extend the closing on that one. So if anyone wants to do this strategy, obviously call me first, but make sure that money, if you want to avoid the sourcing aspect, it's got to be in your account for 30 days. The underwriter of the bank says to the bank, so we're giving Erik $750,000, but he doesn't have a job. He doesn't have income. Why the hell are we doing that? And the bank says, and this is a real life scenario, by the way, the bank says, well, Erik's worth $20 million in Bitcoin. Here are his Gemini statements. And the underwriter goes, I don't know what the hell this means, but as long as you say he's worth $20 million, and so be it. Again, there's only one bank I found that does this type of loan. There's actually two that do this loan and one disappeared. Like they stopped doing it. So there's only one that does this. And they've done it for me. And I've closed properties in 14 days with this, believe it or not. Like it's a quicker process than a traditional conventional loan. So real life example time. I had a client, found him a property for $2.1 million. All right. This client was living in his mom's basement. He was worth, let's say $30 million. I think it was probably more, but let's say he's worth $30 million in Bitcoin at the time. He woke up one morning, he said, shit, I can't believe I'm worth this amount. I'm living in my car in my mom's basement and I want to buy a property in Miami. So real life story. This is not a joke at all. He goes, Erik, let's make it happen. So we did the strategy. He took a $1.4 million loan out against his $2.1 million house. Again, 75% loan to value at a 5.5% interest rate from the bank. All he provided to the bank were his account statements where his crypto was being held. I'm not going to say where it was held. One of the platforms that I mentioned. The bank wants to see the statements in a ledger form. So the bank wants to see bank looking statements. They don't want to see screenshots of your ledger. There are certain exchanges where, or even lending platforms where there's no accounting record, meaning it doesn't show like, daily volume history or daily, hey, today he earned this percent interest. This is what his account's worth. There's no like daily transactional ledgers except for a few of the exchanges / lending platforms that I mentioned before. The bank wants to see that. They submit it to the underwriter. The underwriter comes back to the bank and says, well, why are we going to lend this guy $1.4 million when he doesn't have a job? The bank says, well, this guy has a 720 credit score and he's worth $30 million in crypto. And here are his crypto statements. And by the way, I know we can't include the interest as income, but he's earning, 10% interest a month on this stuff. He's not going anywhere. And by the way, he's worth 30 million, but he's only buying a $2.1 million house. This is a pretty smart individual, right? They're not buying a $50 million house, or they're not even buying a $30 million house when they're worth 30 million. They're buying something that's way below their means. So again, these are all good things for the bank to look at. They know that they're not dealing with a lunatic customer, right? Oh, and by the way, Mr. Underwriter, we're only lending him 1.4 million. He still has to come up with $600,000 as a down payment, right? So what does my client do? He went to the platform where his money is held and he gave them $1.2 million in Bitcoin, and he got a $700,000 loan within 48 hours, wired into his account 30 days before the transaction was going to close. So now he has the $1.4 million loan commitment from the bank. He has a $600,000 loan from the lending platform. He has a $2.1 million to close on the transaction, which is exactly what happened. Now, here's what's really great about my client, and this is a true story. These are lending platforms, but they're also interest providing platforms. So they're lending platforms, borrow lending platforms, and they're also interest yielding platforms. The same platform, this is going to blow everyone's mind away, the same platform that my client took the collateralized loan out, the $600,000 loan out, providing with 1.2 million in Bitcoin, the remaining, let's say 20 million in Bitcoin, is also on that platform earning interest. the interest that he's earning from his holdings is paying off the loan on the same platform, and it's paying off the mortgage from the bank, the 75% loan to value. So his crypto is literally, the interest that he's making from his crypto is paying off his mortgage, his collateralized loan, and quite frankly, all of the operating expenses of the house. He's literally living in the house for free. He's borrowed all the money. The house has gone up to about $2.5 to $2.6 million since he bought it. It's only been about 6 months now. The house has gone up about $500,000 in value. His crypto has gone up too a little bit, although the last few weeks he's probably taken a bloodbath like the rest of us. But the point is he's a very happy client, right? And the bank looks at it like, okay, we lent this guy money. His property has gone up 25% since he bought the property. So now, in addition to the 25% down payment he put into it, now he has an additional 20% equity in the property. So the guy has 45%. My client has 45% equity into the property already. So even if the market takes a complete 2007, 2008 turn, which I don't think it is, in the housing market, like my client, the banks are all protected because there's so much equity in the property already. So even if it reverses and my client's house is worth 2.1 million again and it goes down, it loses to 20%. Again, the bank is still hedged. And by the way, he's been making his mortgage payments on time every month. The bank is very happy. The bank sold the loan off, by the way, but the new owner of the loan is very happy. That's a real life example. I can give you the
We have a couple more questions.
It sounds like this is directed towards a primary residence for people, or is there only one of these loans to be obtained, or can I get several of these?
Well, when you say several I'm assuming for investment properties, is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So again, like I said before, the investment properties, as you know, typically the banks are going to look at what income you can use the income generated from those investment properties to qualify for a mortgage, right? Like rent rolls, et cetera, or when you fix up the property and what's the market value when you rent it out. If that's not an option for you, or for whatever reason you want to go this route, it's all about your crypto holdings. So if you're my client and you're holding crypto, technically you can leverage a lot of that you can leverage half of that to buy property. So he could technically buy $15 million in property right now if he wanted to. That's just on the down payment side. He could borrow 75% from the bank. So he can actually buy probably 50 or 60 million in property if he wanted to. I'm just throwing numbers out there. But he could borrow more than what he qualified.
Wouldn't the LTV be lower though if you buy an investment property because it's not your primary residence? They wouldn't allow you to get the 75% LTV?
Well, commercial property in general, you're putting. Well, I see what you're saying. I haven't dealt with this bank on a commercial property, and I can ask and get back to Jeff, and he can get back to you guys. But as you know, commercial property is 20% down, so the bank is asking for 25% down. Now, and again, the banks are not looking at. The bank would probably be happier to do a commercial property than residential because they have the income from the commercial property to factor in also. With my primary resident clients, they're not looking at anything. They're not looking at income or interest. They're not looking at anything. At least on a commercial property, they can look at your crypto holdings and the income from the property. So I don't see why the bank wouldn't give a 75% loan to value on a commercial property. I mean, they're doing 80% now with traditional mortgage. So why would they not do 75%? I don't think that they would have an issue with that.
Eric, just another quick question here. So Bitcoin points, right? The fees, okay. So how much they're charging the bank, and then also the maybe fees for you? What kind of points are they expecting out of this?
Yeah, good question. It was probably a little higher than it should have been, but no different than a traditional. It's the same. It's no different than a traditional.
For example, the case you did, what's the percentage the customer expect to pay out of points? I mean, like say, what's the number?
Charge like 1 point.
Yeah, but I mean, for your case, what's the bank charges?
No, it's guys, it's the points, the origination fees. It's no different than a conventional. It's a loan. It's no different. It's the same. Yeah, in fact, it's a little. I felt like the bank took advantage of my clients a little bit because it's a risky loan.
Yeah, it is risky, man.
There's nothing wrong with the picture, right? So
They're not stupid. The bank said no. You're gonna take.
Yeah, I mean, it was higher than it should have been because it was a direct lender. So I didn't go through my friend, my mortgage broker for the previous example. My friend, the mortgage broker, was like, why isn't the lender charging XYZ fees when they're the direct lender? They shouldn't be charging some of these fees. He was like, if I originated the loan, I would charge him a fraction of these fees and he'd be paying less, and he'd be going through me as a broker. He's going direct to the bank and he's paying a little more. But it's really, I mean, it's not that, it's definitely not a deal killer. It's not that much more. And if you use my mortgage broker, he'll make sure that those fees are par for the course. As far as me, I make nothing on the finance aspect of my business. I make money by providing the strategy to buying clients who want to buy property, and they know that I'm like the number one source for this type of information. And I have the source to the lender. So I don't make any money on the lending side, mortgage side. I don't make any money on that. Of course, if they want to send me money, I'd happily take it, but so far they haven't.
What's you have another one?
I got one more. I just want to make sure I understand right. So I can literally send like some crypto to Celsius, borrow the money from them at like their 25% LTV, 1% interest rate.
Yep.
Use that as my down payment with your lender.
Yes.
Then they're going to give me a 5.5% 30-year fixed rate on a primary residence, an investment property, a commercial property, an apartment complex, any of it. They don't care.
Again, first of all, what you just explained is exactly right, except I have to check on the commercial aspect piece. I got to, because I've never done a loan. All of my clients thus far have been primary resident clients, but I am having a lot more in the commercial industrial space. By the way, commercial and industrial in Miami is like, it's harder than finding a single family home. So the inventory is historically low in Miami, and it's even harder to find any commercial, industrial, multifamilies out here. Like it's insane. So I haven't had that many clients. I've had a lot of clients in that space. Not a lot of clients are crypto for that space. I can get back to you on that though, very easily.
Can I
Very quickly.
clear up something? Because you keep saying commercial. When you say investment property, it doesn't necessarily have to mean commercial. I think that's where we got confused.
Right. Sorry about that. Yeah. I meant like like anything other than a primary residence is what I'm referring to.
Other than a primary residence, does not necessarily have to be commercial. It could be another house, but it's an investment property, you understand? So what was confused was when I said the LTV might be lower, is because of the investment property. Lenders typically don't want to take that much risk. So your LTV may be a little bit lower. That's what I was trying to convey.
Well, keep in mind that if you're buying an investment property and you're taking a loan out, typically the lender wants you to already own a primary house.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Granted, they don't. Yeah. I mean, granted, you'd want to own your investment properties in LLCs that separate you from the liability of that. But yes, you're what you're saying is 100% accurate.
So Eric, if I want to do business with you, okay, what I need to do? I pay a percentage to Jeff, right? Yeah, that was a joke. That was a joke.
Yeah. Yeah, we're only 3%. That's all.
That's funny. The way that I've worked it for like because I'm only licensed in Florida, throughout the entire state of Florida. But if you work with a real estate agent in whatever state you're in, just say that they have to use me, like they have to do business with me, and then that agent would provide me with a referral fee. I'm assuming that the agents get 3%, or I don't know what it is outside of Florida, but the agent would share with me, because technically without me, the agent wouldn't be able to close the deal. Like the real estate agent, not them. And then what happens is that I bring the deal to my broker, and then the financing aspect happens with the broker. So all the agent has to do is basically find you the property or take you around to show it, and then get paid from the seller, and then give me my referral fee through that.
So in other words, I mean, if let's say if I am interested in purchasing a property, say in Florida or Miami somewhere, I don't need the agent. That's you, right?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am a licensed. That's where I make my money, because I'm a licensed agent.
Right, and then you'll be handling this with your the loan broker that you work with or something.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I get it.
Yep.
Your mortgage broker can work nationwide.
Yes.
Okay.
And the bank lends nationwide. Like I said, they're FDIC insured direct lending bank.
So have you thought about taking this information and, spreading it to other banks and getting them on board? Like, this is phenomenal. This is some really good information. I'm actually surprised that they're even doing.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. That means a lot. I'm not sure who Janet is, but Janet, I lived in Tennessee for 4 months, by the way. Oh, that's you. I love Tennessee. I used to work out of the National Entrepreneur Center. I actually did like one of their accelerator programs in downtown Tennessee. One of my friends is a realtor out there also. Tennessee's fantastic real estate market right now. I'm actually I don't know who asked that in the back, but one moment, it's one of my agents. David, can I call you right back, please? All right, put it on mute. We're in the process of selling a duplex down here. I'm actually creating a course. So I'm creating a cryptocurrency real estate transaction course. Because what I notice is whenever I speak in front of, and I just spoke on stage with like 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐤 from Shark Tank. Whenever I speak about this, like the whole room is floored and they can't believe it. They're like, what the, but I have like half my clients in the room like, yeah, this Erik's not lying. All the realtors want to know like my sauce, I call it. And I just don't have the time. And I like to help people, but I just don't have the time to like have these type of hour-long conversations with them. So I'm creating like I'm going to be one of those assholes on Instagram. It's like swipe up to learn more. Like that's going to be me soon. And I've also been recruited by two of the biggest developers in Florida to run their like cryptocurrency division. Like in Miami, it's like a thing now. Well, it's not a thing until they bring me on, but they want to create cryptocurrency divisions because it's like the hot topic, and they know that I'm like literally the best in the country at this. So I'm in the process of like a potential broker change. We'll see. But it's more for like PR and marketing for myself and for the brokerage than anything.
Well, Eric, yeah, it's great. So we have literally like 10 commitments for franchisees all over the US.
Mhm.
So if you can find one in Miami, I think we can work something out. But
Okay.
but yeah, man, we appreciate the time that you've taken. I know I said 30 minutes. It's going on almost an hour. Anybody have one last question here before we let Eric go back to his busy day?
Are you doing one-on-one consultations for fee?
Yeah, I wouldn't charge for that. Yeah,
Why, you should.
Yeah, we'll put it on your website. We'll charge $150, and you
I
can
was
do
gonna
the
say,
free
I was
one.
gonna say if you're a friend of Jeff's, you're a friend of mine. But Jeff,
Oh, there you go.
if you want to take it to the bank, go ahead. That's on you.
Yeah. Cool, Eric. Well, we're going to post this on our social media if you don't mind, and just get your information out. But next time I come down to Florida, we'll have to get a poker game going again. That's how I met. That's how I met Eric. He took all my money. I'm like, holy cow.
You know what? You know what's crazy is that after when I and I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way, but after I do these like talks like on stage and stuff, there's a lot more women that want to be around me because they're trying to find out the bank. Like they're all trying to find out the bank, and I'm like, wait a minute, you trying?
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
going on?
exactly.
What's going on over here? Like they're like, hi Eric, nice to meet you. I'm like, you didn't say hello to me when I walked in, but you heard me mention.
Yeah. No, definitely. Cool, man. Well, like I said, we appreciate the time, and definitely need to get together when I come back down there. But yeah, thank you for being on our weekly Crypto Over Coffee, and looking forward to.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice job, Eric.
It's a good session, man. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, bud.
Thanks so much. If anyone's in Miami, please look me up. We'll go have.
Yeah, can you do your Twitter handle, or just how you can?
I have some crazy bot on Twitter. I don't even go on it. So here are my socials. This is Twitter and Instagram, and then I'll give my LinkedIn out right now. That's my LinkedIn right there. I actually like. I'm not one of those people. I actually like LinkedIn versus anything else. Oh, Telegram. I don't know. You guys are they on Telegram?
Yeah, a lot of folks are on Telegram.
Okay. I actually use my legal name. Go figure. There you go.
Take a picture for you guys.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, buddy. You have a good day. Thanks again.
Thanks.
No problem. By the way, there's a company that I just there's a company called 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞 that my friend owns. It's based in Miami. They just announced 100% crypto mortgages. So they are a bank, direct bank. They do 100% crypto mortgages. So instead of 70% loan to value or 50%, they do 100% loan to value. So 1-to-1. But unlike the collateralized platforms like Celsius, BlockFi, and SmartFi, Milo takes interest in your property like a bank also. So they have collateral of the property, and they have your crypto collateral they hold, and they take an interest in your property as the first lien position. So I have literally financing options for literally any type of customer.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another session on when that rolls out, just to get more information on Milo.
Yeah,
How do you spell it?
I could set the MIL. They just announced at the North American Bitcoin Conference. My friend Joe owns the company. He told me about this product 2 years ago. Again, it's not really for everybody because they take an interest in your property, right? So it's like, and your crypto. You know, my strategy before Milo came out was bank takes interest in property as they should, and collateralized lending platform takes collateral in your crypto, but the bank isn't taking custody of your crypto, and the crypto platform isn't taking a lien against your property. So I kind of like those two areas separate. That's just me personally for my own investment purchases, but to each his own. I have a bucket for everybody is what I'm basically saying.
Okay, so if anybody needs or has questions on that side.
One last question.
Okay.
So I'm just curious, if let's say the crypto goes, let's say the market plunges and you default on your loan. So the bank, they can't go after your crypto, but they can, I know they can take
Fantastic question. See that, Jeff? You shouldn't have cut me off so early.
I know, right?
This is a fantastic question. If you default on your loan if you default on your loan, you're talking default on your loan with the bank or default on your loan against the crypto? Because there's a loan for that too. What?
against the crypto.
Against the crypto.
All right, well, let me take the bank loan. Obviously, if you default against your mortgage, the bank is coming after that property, right? 'Cause
Right.
if you default against the crypto, here's what's the beautiful thing about this space. The answer is no, they can't come after your property at all. The crypto collateralized loan, they don't care what you do with the loan. You can go buy gummy bears for all they care. They don't give a crap. Because why? Because they're holding 50%. They're holding 2-to-1 collateral. So they're giving you a $250,000 loan, but they're holding $500,000 in your asset. What they do is like anyone else, they do what's called a margin call. Those margin calls are different depending on the collateralized lending platform. I believe it's about 15%. So a lot of people are getting margin called right now because the market went down 15% in 48 hours or whatever the heck it was, right? So again, what the crypto, I kind of lied before, because when I said that there's no such thing as a foolproof loan, the truth is these crypto collateralized loans, these companies like Celsius are I think worth 30 billion. I think their valuation is $30 billion. They don't lose money on their loans because they're taking 2-to-1 of your collateral. And as soon as it drops 15%, meaning they have 35% more of your collateral now, they're going to call you on the phone and they're going to say, hey, we either have to start selling your Bitcoin to bring the loan to 50%, or you have to give us more collateral. You have to give us more Bitcoin. So most of Celsius clients have more Bitcoin that they provide because they don't want Celsius to sell their Bitcoin because they think the market's going to rebound. So it's a margin call. They do margin calls. Now the reverse happens, by the way. Let's say you do a 50% loan to value. You give them $500,000 in Bitcoin. They give you 250 grand. A few months down the line, 6 months down the line, your crypto is now worth $1 million because it's doubled in value. Now you call up Celsius, you say, hey, I'm over collateralized, right? I'm no longer at 50% loan to value. Now I'm at 25% loan to value. Give me some of my Bitcoin back.
Give me my Bitcoin back. Yeah.
And they will send it back down to the 50% level. So they'll take $500,000 in Bitcoin and they'll send it back. Or what I would do, which all clients do, you take the $500,000 in Bitcoin, you say, okay, I want you to transfer that from the borrowing side of Celsius, put it onto the interest side of Celsius, right? Now I want to make interest on that $500,000. I don't want to pay interest. So now you take the $500,000 that it's appreciated, you make interest on that. You take the interest from that to pay off your loan, your collateralized loan. This is why I just love crypto. I just love the space.
And that's not a taxable that interest you're making to pay off your mortgage or pay down your loan. Is that a taxable event?
So not a CPA. I definitely can't give advice on that. If you're making interest on it and you're using the interest, I believe that is a taxable event. But as long as you're borrowing against it, it's not a taxable event. So if you earn interest if you earn interest on crypto
Yes,
and then
that
you
is-
move it
that's
over,
100%
if the
correct.
Bitcoin, if the
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
if the Bitcoin appreciates, you don't pay interest on the appreciation. You only pay interest when you sell the appreciation. So if you're making interest on the appreciation and you're borrowing against it, I don't believe that is a capital gains event. I don't believe you do pay tax on that. It's only when you sell it, when you recognize the gain, do you pay. But if you're borrowing against those gains, you don't pay.
Yeah.
Again, another reason I love crypto.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, everybody here really appreciates the time you've taken. So for those that have more questions, I will give out your email address and also your social media information here. But yeah, I appreciate the time, Eric, and hopefully we get your weather here sometime because man,
Yeah.
it's definitely freezing here.
It's a freezing 52 outside.
Yeah, right. It's 1 degree over here. All right, bud. You have a good day.
No problem. I hope I was helpful. Take care, everyone.
Yep. See ya.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.